Hi everybody. I'm going to go through this assignment sheet for the Curiosity Quest research assignment in great detail so you understand very well what the expectations are for this assignment. I am giving you this assignment of Curiosity Quests because I want you to start exercising that curiosity muscle. In order to be a really great learner and even a scholar, you need to be curious. Learners are curious people, and anytime you look at any of the bigwigs in any field, the reason that they are famous for their field is that they asked questions and did research in order to gain the knowledge that now you will be learning in all of your college classes. So my goal for you is to be a scholar as well. And so we are going to practice that questioning, and that is why we're having this. That's why I want you to do this assignment. This assignment is an ongoing assignment throughout the semester. You will be doing 3 different quests. One quest for the first 4 episodes, another quest for the next 4, and another quest for the last 4. So let's get started looking at our assignment sheet here, and so you know exactly what to do. Your first step is right here. Listen to the episode. So your first step is to listen to the serial podcast episodes. And that means more than just being a passive listener. I know that everybody likes to listen to things in their car or maybe when they're washing the dishes. I certainly do. I've even been known to listen to a podcast when I'm shoveling snow outside because I just like to have something to listen to as I'm doing stuff. And that's just fine. But what I mean when I ask you to listen is I mean for you to sit down and listen critically and have your textbook, which is the transcript for this for the podcast, open up and following along, reading along with the transcript as you're listening and annotating the margins. I really want you to be thinking critically about what's going on in the podcast, and I want you to record your thinking. I want you to record anytime anything is surprising, any kinds of questions that come out, any opinions, any thinking. That needs to be recorded in the margins. These margin notes, these annotations are going to be extremely important as we move through the semester, and especially at the end of the semester when you are trying to put together your argument. So make sure that you are doing a thoughtful, scholarly job as you are listening. And so when I talk about listening, I mean that you are listening, reading along, annotating in the margins, recording your thinking, and recording a good topic that you need or want more information about, that question to guide your curiosity research, okay? So then once you've done all of that annotating, you're going to choose what to research. So that's your picking, right? This number 2, pick your question. So you're going to go back through your notes, look and find a really good question that you can try and find the answer to. My colleague Jan and I we developed this class together, and she did a curiosity quest for episode number 1 of Serial, and her question is this example here. She wanted to know more about Adnan's appeal. If Asia's alibi for Adnan was too late and the appeal was denied, then what was in the appeal in the first place? So she wants to do a little bit more thinking about that appeal process for Anand. And so that is what her first quest is going to be about. This quest that she did is going to be posted in the Curiosity Quest folder, which is in the serial folder, which is in the week 2 folder. So you'll be able to see that right in the same spot that you found this presentation, basically. Just a little heads up on how this is structured throughout the semester. For episodes 1 through 4, you're going to pick one question to research, and that question is due week 4 on Wednesday. You have to have your presentation done and ready and posted on Wednesday of week 4, and then in week 5, that's when we start our next group, and you're going to do your next quest presentation on one question from that's located in episodes 5 through 8, and you're going to present that on Wednesday of week 8. And then the last part of episodes 9 through 12, that's the next part, and you're going to pick one question from one of those episodes, and you're going to be presenting that on week 12, Wednesday of week 12. So once you have your presentations posted onto our discussion board, then you're going to go and look at 3 presentations from other classmates, and you're going to comment on each of those, and that is due by Friday of that week. So that is how the assignment is structured, and your presentations will be posted into a discussion board on D2L, so you will all have access to that. All right, so then we're going to go on to step number 3. After you have chosen your question, then you're going to go and look it up. You're going to Google it. You're going to read between 3 and 5 websites to try and figure out an answer to your question. And as you are reading to find the answer to those questions, your question might change a little bit and might deepen a little bit, and that's just fine. You can absolutely change your question a little bit as you go through. You just have to document that change in your presentation and talk about when it changed and talk about why you're doing your next website or whatever. You need to bring your audience along on that journey, okay? You might not. You might just choose the 3 to 5 websites and have different points of view to answer that same question. And that's fine too. So whatever you choose, whatever way you choose to present is great. But you're required to do 3 to 5 websites, and it addresses your original question and tells the journey that you're taking. Okay. Here's a little thing that I would like to remind you of is, you may not copy and paste things out of the websites and onto your own document. That is plagiarism. That is really a big deal in college, and it will get you reported to the Dean of Students. So you're not going to be copying and pasting. So what you're going to do at each of those websites is you're going to take notes, and you're going to put those notes in your own words. And if you can't figure out how to get some concept or something into your own words, then you're going to have to use quotation marks, because otherwise then I just don't want to even talk about the, academic dishonesty of copying and pasting. Just don't do that, because I hate having to report students to the Dean of Students for this. All right. So just make sure that you are using your own words, and then we'll stay out of the woods there. Okay, so here's your little post-its about how to do your research. Google, read, take notes, use your own words, keep track of the websites that you are researching. Okay, and so here's an example of Jan's notes. Here are the notes that she took. Here are the websites that she used, and notice how she just has links here. This is not an accurate works cited page. These links are perfectly fine to have on your slide or whatever, but this is not how you are going to be required to do your works cited page. So we will go on to the next page to talk about your presentation, and I will talk about that next. So once you are done with all of your notes and you have all of your information, you're going to create a presentation. And you may use VoiceThread for this. You just go to VoiceThread and you press create and you upload a PowerPoint. And you're going to do that absolutely the last thing, because you're going to have to create your PowerPoint first. But you can use VoiceThread. You can also use a video, like I'm using Screencast-O-Matic right now, and that works just great. Or you can do any other program as long as you have audio, so you can talk through your presentation, and you use the required stuff in your presentation. You can do anything you want. All right, so create a PowerPoint, and I'm even going to give you advice about how to organize that in your slides. So your very first slide should present your question. And this question should be explained. You should explain why you're asking the question, and you should center it about what's happening in the podcast as you ask that question. You know, we will be watching the first quests in week 4, and your question might be from episode 2. So you need to center us in why you're asking the question, what was going on in the podcast at that time. So that's your first slide. Your second slide is going to present your findings. So you're going to use all of your notes, and you're going to put together some slides. It might be more than one slide to present all of your findings and tell what you learned as you went through the websites trying to answer your question. I know that Jan has more than one slide for her presentations, and I will be this presentation is posted, so you will be able to see her whole presentation of her Curiosity Quest for episode 1 and Adnan's Appeal. Okay, the next thing that you need to include, number 3, is artifacts. These artifacts should be authentic court documents or pictures or something very authentic that relates back to the podcast. Jan had some sort of the documentation for the appeal that said that it was denied. You know, those little documents. She has those documents. She found them online. She took some screenshots of them. They're in her presentation. So that is something that you need to have, and it needs to be very clear that it's an artifact. If you want to present them, to have the artifacts in your presentations finding slides, that's fine. It just needs to be very clear that you have artifacts, okay? Then you have to also address whether whether your quest helps Adnan to look more guilty or more innocent. Okay? So that is what we're always going to circle back to. I've had students in the past that have done quests that don't circle back to the podcast at all. For example, I had a student once that did their quest on how is a jury selected. And so they talked about the process of jury selection, but it never circled back to the podcast at all. It was just sort of this, I don't know, it was on the sidelines. It related because, you know, Adnan was on trial, but it didn't relate to Adnan's case. And so it wasn't a good quest. They didn't do a good job because, I mean, it wasn't that they didn't do a good job with that, but it didn't relate back to our podcast. So it wasn't correct. Now, if they would have stretched that and talked about the jury selection in Adnan's trial and how that impacted the outcome of the case, then that would have been a good quest. So do you see the difference there? You need to make sure that this relates back to Adnan and it shows either that you think that this answer makes him look more guilty or more innocent. So make sure you have a whole slide about that. Then, like I said, those links are not acceptable for your Works Cited page. You're going to do an MLA Works Cited page. You're going to have to go onto the Purdue OWL, which is a website, the Purdue OWL, it's right here, and you're going to look under MLA and Works Cited, and you're going to have to figure out how to do the format for a Works Cited page in MLA. PowerPoint has a really hard time formatting things. It's really hard to format things with a hanging indentation. So you might want to do that on a Word document and then just do like a screenshot and then post that into your slide, like a picture. That might be easiest, but you need to make sure that your Works Cited is in the correct format. And that's at the Purdue OWL will help you with that formatting. The last thing you're going to do is create your presentation. So once your PowerPoint is done, you can upload that to VoiceThread and then use the voice controls to talk over each slide, and then you're done. So if you have any questions, you can put it on the question discussion board, or you can email me, and I'm excited to see what you're going to be researching for the next couple of weeks. Okay, thanks.